Hello everyone, welcome back to the Baking Analyst channel. On this channel, we cover cryptocurrencies, economics, personal finance, and yield farming. So if that sounds interesting to you, do consider subscribing to the channel and giving this video a like. So today's video lies within this week, which is a relatively light news week in terms of new farms and new farming opportunities. In the Harmony 1 space, the FuzzFi or Fuzz Swap yield farm has dropped in APR quite a bit. So this one USD pool over here, for example, is only doing 70.81% APR. And therefore, I've taken the decision to move my funds out into DeFi kingdoms and just pretty much leave them there, given that 11% of this current APR is unlocked, which works out to be higher than Fuzz Swap anyway, even in unlocked terms, and we still get our locked rewards, which could be worth something at the end. But the focus of today's video is that I realized that this has become a bit of a Harmony 1 focus channel with a bit of Crypto.com and KuCoin sprinkled in between. And while the whole crypto space has become increasingly tribalized, I think it is important to remember that we're all in here for the same or similar reasons, whether we're backing Harmony 1, Binance Smart Chain, Avalanche, or Matic. We're all trying to yield farm some gains, and we're all trying to earn a better return on our investment. So I'd like to take the opportunity of this relatively light yield farming news week to talk about how I started yield farming, how my journey through yield farming has progressed, as well as some learning resources that I found along the way. So without further ado, let's jump right into the content. So I first started considering yield farming or liquidity mining when the Crypto.com Supercharger came out. As you all know, I'm quite a big fan of the Crypto.com ecosystem. They offer these really nice metal debit cards that make you look like a baller, but apart from that, they also give you other rewards such as cashback and free Spotify if you go for one of the metal cards. But one thing that I realized in Crypto.com was, why am I not putting more funds into their stablecoin or crypto earn pools? They're making about 10 to 12% interest. And this would be a topic for a whole other video, because I realized that if we were to put your paycheck into this account, or at least the savings from your paycheck into this 12% per annum account, and do so on a consistent basis, you could be giving yourself a decent pay bump year on year if just let it compound. And then the Crypto.com Supercharger rolled around, which was my first step at actual yield farming. So what is the supercharger? The supercharger functions a bit like PancakeSwap's syrup pools. You stake one token and earn another one in return. So in this case, you're staking the Crypto.com CRO token and earning, in this case, Axie Infinity or AXS token in return. Of course, they have a different token for every charging period. A charging period is basically the time in which you are allowed to stake your CRO to earn that reward. You basically just deposit your CRO into a pool, and then eventually you accept your reward and you get paid the respective token in return. And then I came across this platform called Cake DeFi, or DefiChain. So Cake DeFi is more like the centralized entity that provides services based on DefiChain lending and yield farming protocols. So I first got introduced to Cake DeFi through a social media ad that came out just as they were launching their liquidity mining or yield farming program. And it was here where I first learned about the whole concept of pairing tokens together and then putting them into a pool and earning yield. So when I first started, I went into this BTC DeFi pool. It was originally doing like 400% APR back then. And I was thinking, if it was really doing 400% APR, and if we were allowed to compound this every day without so much gas fees as on the more well-known Ethereum blockchain, then wouldn't this result in a relatively large gain over time if we were just to leave it there and compound it on a daily basis and not withdraw anything from it until we reach our target? And as it turns out, when I entered the calculations into a compound interest calculator, they were pretty astounding. So I first started with $200. I put it into the BTC DeFi pool, and then eventually that was when DeFi was 40 cents, 20 to 40 cents or so, and then currently it's sitting around $3 or $4. So the DeFi part of the portfolio appreciated a lot since then, about 1 year ago. And after that, it ended up being worth around $2,000 to $3,000. I just took it out when the APYs were dropping and then moved on to the next one. However, what we do want to take away from the Cake DeFi platform in today's video is that there is a pretty good learning resource, I think, that set me up for the other cross-chain yield farming opportunities I found on both Binance Smart Chain, Matic Network, as well as, of course, Harmony One. So what is this learning resource? Well, this learning resource actually comes in the form of the transfer page. And the reason for this is because we look at all these currencies. Now, for those of you who are not familiar, DefiChain is essentially a token that runs on its own blockchain. They claim to be DeFi that runs on Bitcoin technology, essentially a Litecoin that exists on DefiChain, or Bitcoin that exists on DefiChain. It's not the real Bitcoin, like you don't just deposit from a Litecoin address to your DefiChain wallet. Instead, you need to bridge it over. And Cake DeFi functions like a bridge. And it does so in a pretty intuitive way that makes it function as a pretty good learning resource if you're new to cross-chain farming. For example, if I were to open, deposit, or withdraw on Litecoin, we have the option of depositing and withdrawing on the Litecoin network, and then we also have a very intuitive graphical interface that allows you to select the DefiChain network if you're sending your DefiChain Litecoin to your DefiChain decentralized wallet, where you can earn possibly higher rewards because, of course, when you're yield farming on Cake, Cake takes a bit of the fee. So, of course, if you're interested in making use of the Cake DeFi platform, you can get free $30 of DFI token if you use the link below and deposit $50 in there. And it'll be a nice bonus to have if you are just going to go in, get out, and go on to the next platform. Now, the reason why I left DefiChain, or growing pains as I would put it, is that the DefiChain app often didn't work properly. So onwards and upwards, I left DefiChain, or the DFI ecosystem. I went over to Binance Smart Chain simply because the gas fees were low. And that was where I learned more about different cross-chain opportunities, as well as how to find new chains through Ethereum Virtual Machine, or EVM compatibility. So all we need to do is just find some chains that are EVM compatible or have smart contracts running on them, and they are likely to have yield farming opportunities on them. And what made things even better was that I was using this program called Beefy Finance. This site called Beefy Finance actually automatically compounds your yields for you, and we also have a much wider selection of coins available. Now, of course, some of these coins, or a lot of these coins, they could be rug pulls, they could be projects that basically have nothing backing them. And then I basically looked at these APYs and thought, yep, they are more worthwhile to invest in these APYs as compared to DefiChain, and then I moved my funds over. So you might be asking, why would I switch away from Binance Smart Chain? There seems to be a lot of liquidity, a lot of farming opportunities, and a lot of different new developments. Well, the reason for that is around May this year, gas fees on Binance Smart Chain started going up, and the network in general started to slow down just with so much traffic coming through. And the reason why that matters so much for us yield farmers is because if we're going to compound our gains daily or move pools on a frequent basis to capture the highest APYs, then those transaction fees are going to eat into our returns. And so it was at that point that I thought, this is slow, it's getting more expensive, let's look for an alternative elsewhere. And that is when I stumbled upon Harmony One, Matic, and Phantom. Ultimately, I chose to go with Harmony One because the transaction fees were so cheap, and I then found out about ViperSwap, and then from ViperSwap, the Harmony One ecosystem began to develop. There was SushiSwap, and now FuzzSwap and DeFi Kingdoms. And that brings us to present day. So I hope this video has been informative and has provided some learning resources and has also provided some information on the decision-making process when choosing to jump chains, to jump ship, and to switch farms. Of course, we never want to get married to a specific project or a specific farm. As you know, the Harmony One APYs are currently going lower and lower. There might be a new project such as Artemis that's coming out that might get higher APYs. I don't know. And perhaps in the near future, we would just go over to Chronos Smart Chain, where there's quite a number of promising apps launching there soon. Anyway, I hope this has been an interesting video to you all. Hope you learned something new, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.